Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Today we're going to be going over the Mr. Olympia 2019 Men's Open. This Olympia turned out to be pretty lackluster compared to recent years. Going into the competition, several of the top 10 competitors were dropping out like flies. It almost felt like it was going to be kind of like a souped up Arnold Classic, if you know what I mean. All that being said, it was exciting going into it, if only for the reason that we were going to see another guy crowned Mr. Olympia this year. There was a big hype train between Roly Winkler and Brandon Curry, and basically who had the least flaws going into the competition. On top of that, there was a last-minute addition, being Hadi Choopan, that definitely spiced things up. So, as with any bodybuilding competition, we always have some level of controversy and people screaming that someone was robbed afterwards. So, I'm going to go ahead and play judge here, and we will go through the 8 mandatories and decide whether the placings were fair or if someone was unfairly screwed out of a Sandow. So, let's go ahead and jump into this. Okay, just to point something out here, guys, getting into this, the photos I'm using are from prejudging, which is why you see Roly Winkler in the top 4 when he actually ended up being number 5. But anyways, we're going to go over these 4 in prejudging because this basically was the deciding factor of what happened in the competition. Okay, so let's jump into this. Front double bicep. Who do I like? Well, actually all 4 look pretty damn phenomenal. This is one of the best poses of each of these guys, and in my opinion, Hadi Choopan is killing everybody on conditioning. Bonak's pretty tight, but not quite as cut up. Brandon is 3rd in conditioning of these 4, but his structure, line, symmetry is bringing him to the forefront. And Roly, yeah, he missed the mark, man, which sucks because, as I've said in previous videos, I'm a big Winkler fan, and I was really hoping after his 3rd place finish last year that he was going to come in and take it. And when I seen him come out, I knew, he was flat, and also he missed the mark on the conditioning. And it sucks, man, because the pictures coming into the competition, he looked like he started dieting earlier, and he looked like he was completely aware that this was his chance to be a Mr. Olympia. And I really feel for the guy, but whatever happened, and he came in and still looked okay. But yeah, in my opinion, I think Brandon easily takes this one. While Hadi has probably the best legs on the stage, nobody is matching Brandon on structure, especially upstairs. His arms are just as good as Roly's, or very close to anyways. And just the sweep of his lats and the taper and everything just looks amazing on this guy. So, first pose, Brandon Curry. Moving into the front lat spread. In my eyes, I see Curry taking this one all day. Now, the way he looks to me in this pose, while I agree with most people that his quads are not world class, just legs in general are not there. They are not as bad as everyone is making them seem, though, okay? He has pretty big legs, obviously not compared to someone like Hadi or even Roly, right? Bonak usually has awesome legs, but he came in with his left leg looked pretty atrophied this year, and from what I heard, it was due to a back issue going into the competition. But either way, if you look upstairs, Curry just fills out the pose, man. His chest looks crazy here. His lats are flared out, probably the widest. He just aesthetically is killing it here. Hadi has probably given him the most competition. He just... I heard Steve Weinberger say that Hadi needs to put on more mass to basically claim that number 1 spot. And most people were kind of outraged by that when they heard that, but realistically I kind of see where he's coming from. Not saying he's small, but he's such a shorter guy. I mean, all these guys are short, but he's so compact that it just kind of makes his frame, look inferior to some of the bigger frame guys like Roly and Curry. But beyond that, man, he came in and surprised the world, man. This dude looked phenomenal. Easily the most shredded dude on stage. On top of that, he was full, and really he had almost no weaknesses. So yeah, he looks really good here, but nobody's touching Curry on this one. Okay, side chest. Damn, these guys look pretty damn good. All of them look good. This will prove to be a tougher selection here. Hottie looks freaking amazing. Bonac looks amazing. I'm not really a fan of how Bonac's presenting himself right here. I feel like now, while these guys do kind of pan around and move their upper body to present to the judges, in this shot, in this picture, he needs to be turned a little bit more to show the width in the shoulders. But yeah, legs look phenomenal. Yeah, overall pretty good for Bonac. Curry looks spot on, looks pretty damn good. Rolly looks like a tank, man. He looks like a beast. In my opinion, I think Rolly takes this one. While he doesn't show the level of conditioning in the side leg like Hottie does, or like even Bonac does, he's showing so much more mass, as well as the fact that he just, yeah, he catches the attention more. He looks phenomenal here, man, and his conditioning was off. He was flat. I'm completely aware of this, but overall, man, he was not that terrible. He looked incredible. In my eyes, I think he should have got 4th place, not Dexter. And I love Dexter Jackson. Don't get me wrong. That dude's the king, man. He's amazing. But, yeah, I think Rolly should have taken 4th. I looked at the cards, and apparently the judges agree that Rolly came back on the night show and basically beat Dexter on the numbers. But because Dexter had such a lead on prejudging, the scorecards basically combined carried him through to 4th spot. So either way, I would give this one to Rolly. But in terms of the other guys, I think Curry takes a solid 2nd place, Hottie 3rd, Bonac 4th. Back double bicep. Now this one, to me, seems like a runaway, even though some people wouldn't agree. I think Curry takes this pretty easily. You know what? Normally, Bonac, this is a very strong pose for him. But yeah, he just came in smaller this year. I don't think it was a solid package for him. I think if he came in like he did in his 2017 shape, or even 2018, but more so 2017, he might have even taken this competition overall. But this was not a bad showing for him, but definitely not his better. He's seen better days for sure. And Hottie, he has a crazy thick back, but in this position, it doesn't show that well. I don't think he has... I don't know. It doesn't look that good. The taper's not really all that amazing here, and yeah, you know, his arms are not that crazy either. In Rolly, everyone's aware this is one of his weaker poses. Looks amazing on the top half of his back. His arms are killing it. His lower back is almost missing completely, and he missed the conditioning so much that his hamstring and glutes look pretty awful as well. So, yeah, he didn't do too well here. But yeah, Bonac would be a solid 2nd, and a toss-up between Hottie or Rolly for 3rd. And the rear lat spread. So, looking at all 4 of these guys, they all look pretty damn amazing here. I would give it to Rolly Winkler. Now, some people, I think, fail to see how damn good he is in this pose. Again, while he came in flat and off on the conditioning, he's still sharp enough here to show probably the most definition in the back out of everybody. Now, Hottie and actually all these guys look pretty conditioned in the back, but the legs also is one of the things that I think Curry is just, he's just not quite there yet, and he's struggling with it, and it hurts him in this pose. If he had even a little bit better legs, you know, up to par with maybe Rolly, nobody would question his win here in this competition. But because he doesn't, you know, most people can't let that go. And while his quads are pretty separated and clean enough from the front, His legs look damn good from the side. From the back, they look probably their worst. His calves are very small. The hamstrings are not that shredded or big. You can see very little sweep on the quads from the back. So I would give him second here, but barely, because Hadi looks like a tank over there, man. He doesn't appear to have the same kind of wow factor that the two guys on the right do. And Bonac is very shredded and very complete. But yeah, I'm just not impressed with him here. He's not as big, and yeah, I don't know. I don't care for him too much in this pose. So definitely the top two would be Curry or Rolly. Take your pick. Me personally, I'd give it to Rolly. With the side tricep, I think two people stand out here. Brandon Curry and William Bonac. Now, it's funny, man, because William Bonac usually hits this a little bit different, more classic style, where he kind of leans back in a different way. But he still looks pretty good here, man. I think Curry takes it. He has the cleanest midsection. His chest looks good, his shoulders look good, his arms look good. And like I said, from the side, his legs look good too. They look big. It's so bizarre how weak they look from the back. They look moderately weak from the front, but from the side, they look amazing. And for Rolly Winkler, man, this should be something that he runs away with, but he's so damn big, I don't think he can really reach his arm behind his back like conventionally. So he does this kind of non-conventional side tricep, and it's just not a good way to present your body. It doesn't show that well, and it sucks, man, because he has the best triceps in history, or at least one of them, and everything else is clean enough that he should take this pose. He can't manage it, and he loses this pose because of that. So if you look over at Hadi, he looks good enough, Again, very sharp, but his arms are just not strong enough to even compare to these other guys right here. Even though they're very separated and everything looks pretty good. His midsection's spilling over a little bit. I'm sure that if he was caught in this picture, he might have just been caught breathing a little bit. But yeah, I think Curry takes it, and I think Bonac second, and then toss up between Rolly or Hadi for third and fourth. Abs and thighs. Again, this is a pretty easy one, although not quite a steal, okay? It's not quite a runaway. Now, this picture, I feel like Hadi's not even completely set up, but it doesn't matter, because the top two are Brandon Curry and Rolly Winkler. Brandon Curry obviously takes this, but Rolly looks pretty respectable. I think he's looked better in the past in this pose, like last year, for instance, but his conditioning was just off enough to where he loses that upper quad separation. He loses the tightness and the crispiness that he had last year, and like at the Arnold Classic Australia. But yeah, again, still way leagues above the two guys on the left. And funny enough, Hadi and Bonac have the same issue. They're almost they are very similar bodybuilders in so many ways. It's a very good matchup between these two, but they both have the same issue. They're both so short and stocky and kind of scrunched up that their lines are just gone. They have so much mass now that they can't even hit a good abs and thigh, and I don't got much to say about it. I don't like Bonac in the abs and thighs. I've never did, and I've seen Hadi's abs look pretty damn good, but even if he did hit this a little bit more conventionally, and I know he has the conditioning to show good abs, he doesn't compare to the two guys on the right. He just don't have the lines for it. So, yeah, the top two are Curry and Rolly, with Curry taking the win on this pose. And last, we have the most muscular, and this is a bit harder too. All four of them look pretty damn phenomenal. I do think, and if you follow me here, I think you'll see what I'm saying. I think the two guys on the right are kind of running away, and I'll tell you why. If you kind of just pull back a little bit and look at the whole frame here, the two guys on the left are just, they're not stacking up height-wise with the two guys on the right. And I know it's only a matter of an inch or two, but that's enough to make these guys on the right. The illusion shows that these guys look much bigger, and Rolly is much bigger. He is huge. I'm not too sure of their weight this year, but I'm pretty sure Rolly hits the 280s when he's on stage. And Curry's probably somewhere in there as well. Maybe not as heavy, but either way, the two guys on the left look so complete and good. And Bonac always seems to catch perfect lighting in the most muscular. He always just catches the light. He looks phenomenal. Hadi, again, very complete, looks very good. His legs are so crazy, man. He is so good of legs. They're so well developed, so cut. So, yeah, overall, I would give it the Rolly, man. I know most people would probably disagree with me on that, but he's showing the most width, I feel like, in the shoulders. Curry's right there, too, but Rolly has more freak factor, man. In this, if there ever was a pose that was meant for freak factor, it is the most muscular. His legs are better. They're showing more separation here. His midsection is, on par with Curry's here. But everything else being equal, he's just bigger and just as separated in this pose anyways. So, yeah, I'd give it to Rolly. Curry is a close second, and it's a toss-up between Hadi and Bonac for third and fourth. And that does it for this competition. Now, obviously, the placings here you can see Brandon Curry won, with William Bonac taking second, Hadi Chupin taking third, Dexter Jackson taking fourth, and Rolly Winkler taking fifth. With, not pictured, but Steve Kuklo took sixth, which, hey, awesome for him, man. He looked pretty damn good this year. But, yeah, sticking with these guys right here. I know I didn't show Dexter Jackson. He looked pretty damn good here. I don't think he looked as good as he did like a month prior in the Tampa, but he looked really good, really respectable. But, again, I stick to my conclusion. I think that Rolly should have solidly taken at least fourth place, and not taking anything away from Bonac or Hadi. I just think, just because Rolly came in off, he improved for the night show, and also, all things aside, man, he's so big, and this is a men's open bodybuilding competition. He has a good enough midsection to where everything being equal, he's just bigger than everybody. And his conditioning was not so off that he looked terrible. He was off, not even close to what he was in 2018. But you think that deserves a fifth place when you're missing like 3 or 4 of the top 10 guys? Come on, man. I don't think so. Bonac had a left leg that didn't even compare to his right leg, and he was downsized a lot. And Hadi Chupin looked amazing, but I don't see it, You could make a case for Hadi taking second, but I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think Bonac deserves second place. I think Bonac, at the highest, deserved third place, but I would even put Rolly in front of Bonac. While Bonac had better conditioning, his symmetry was messed up with the leg, and he was just much smaller than Rolly. The difference is that Bonac's legs are better, even, despite the unsymmetrical issue with his left leg, but he just he has less flaws. His back in the back double is better. But yes, overall, this is what happened. When you get right down to it, Brandon Curry deserved this, and he's catching a lot of shit, and it kind of pisses me off, man, because Brandon Curry is probably the coolest Mr. Olympia that we've had in years. Now, when Sean Roden won last year, I was so damn happy, but now with all the charges that are being brought against him and everything, and I'm not gonna say what I think about that. We'll wait to see what actually happens. If he's guilty, he's guilty, and that shit is not to be defended. That is horrible. If he did it, then he deserves what he gets. But innocent until proven guilty, all right? Let's just see what happens before we just throw this guy in the garbage. But Brandon Curry, man, he's a family man. He's respectable. He rarely speaks out or starts controversies with people. Real laid back, cool attitude, but also a good competitor, a good fierce attitude with competition. Now, I seen that thing with Dorian Yates where he was talking about how Brandon Curry looked good, but he wouldn't even make top 6 back in the 90s. Come on, man. Really? That is so, like, I understand, Mr. Olympia from a couple decades ago is just, he's looking back at the glory days like these guys were the top, the epitome of bodybuilding. And while, as I've said before, the 90s probably had the most stacked lineup, it doesn't mean that they were the best bodybuilders of all time. Now, Brandon Curry outmasses most of those guys in the 90s, and he was not that off here. While his legs do not compare with some of those guys, he's very comparable on a lot of things, and I guarantee he'd make at least top 6, if not much better, back in any year back in the 90s. So, I'm in your corner, Brandon. I think you deserved it. So far, you seem like a good ambassador. Cool, Mr. Olympia. Very happy you won, man. Rolly Winkler, I feel bad for you, but you know what? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Come back next year with more motivation. You'll come back around looking even better. Anyways, that's my opinions of this competition. Thanks for sticking around. This is Jake. I'll see you guys next time.